And welcome back to Who Would Win, pre-recorded on Sunday for Monday. This one comes to us from a longtime viewer who's been asking for this for God knows how long. I'm finally getting to it because you finally came up in the roster. From both Samantha Blake and Quentin Blake, who, again, I'm not completely convinced aren't the same people, but because they've given me kind of the exact same suggestions. Although, again, I'm willing to concede that maybe it's just that Quentin is a relative of yours who can't actually make their own account. So, then you did it for them. Or maybe they did make their own account and they're a relative of yours. Maybe your brother, maybe your sister. I don't know. I find it kind of convenient is all. But regardless, I am finally getting to the request of who would win in a fight. Knull, the symbiote, the creator pretty much of symbiotes in the MCU, but in the Marvel Universe, the symbiote God of Darkness and King of Darkness versus Lord Death, or just Death, from Soul Eater, who was basically the founder, hold on, there it goes, who is simply, originally simply known as God, was the Reaper and Great Old One of Order, who founded and served as the headmaster of Death Weapon Miser Academy, acted as the third Miser of Spirit Albarn, and fathered both Death the Kid and Azura. Of all the shonen or, cool action, supernatural manga and anime out there, Soul Eater's not one of the ones I followed. My girlfriend actually knows a lot more about it than I do. But Death is considered called a god without arrogance by Frankenstein. Death himself is a kind, wise, and benevolent figure, often showing care for those within the DWMA, and as well as optimistic. This is shown as Killick Rug became frustrated when the situation of whatever. Anyway, so he's actually, but he can also go into pure god mode if he needs to take on someone. In terms of power, his soul is large enough to encompass all of Death City, and is far larger than those whom possess a mighty soul. When a portion of his wavelength was used in Death the Kid's parents' 7 race technique, proved powerful enough to destroy the horror dragon and obliterate Noah/Greed. In battle, his prowess enables him his battle prowess enabled him great enough to let me see if I'm reading this right. It seems very badly worded. In battle, his prowess enabled him great enough to critically injure a character. Punctuation and grammar are friends, folks. And it defeated Azura in single combat without using a demon weapon. It's speculated had he possessed spirit weapons in his form, he would have actually defeated Azura overall. In his original form, that of a large cloaked mask with a skull mask, spikes around him, giving him an intimidating presence, though he can alter his size. Although he was created with a skull mask, he stated that he does possess a regular face underneath. His cloak possesses a connection to its own being and will transform with him. He has shape-shifting capabilities, Reaper powers, including creation powers. He's able to create the new world, including its inhabitants and cosmology, while basing it off the old world. Sealing, he's capable of sealing powerful individuals, such as Kishin. He's able to create a bag made of Azura's skin or to contain his body. And he has an unnamed ability to basically kind of move through mirrors. His soul wavelength is referred to as power of God, and is such regarding his specialty. His wavelength destructive power is capable of leveling at a level in which Death the Kid, using a portion of it in his one-time technique, proved sufficient enough to kill the horror dragon Noah/Greed in a single attack. Madness wavelength, Madness order, considered to be his true power of the Reapers, form Madness intense forces capable of suppressing human emotion, leaving only a mechanical cycle of life and death. Effectively the opposite of Madness fear. He does possess a wavelength at a god's level. Wavelength control, capable of holding a scythe. His control over his own soul allows him to bond his soul to the very Death City. He's skilled to hand-to-hand combatancy. He has intense regeneration, high physical abilities, and immortality. As a true Reaper, Death is immortal and has lived over 800 years. It is possible that his immortality is similar to Azura's, who inherited his immortality from Death due to being the embodiment of fears and fears itself as a result. He's very intelligent, has a spatial sense capable of sensing space when he explained killing effects to the independent cube. Again, stuff I don't really know about. However, weaknesses include, according to Frankenstein, due to sealing Azura via rooting his soul, Death is unable to travel beyond the realms of his own soul, which encompasses the entire Death City. For Death to move, it would require the movement of the entire city itself, even if Azura is released. The fact was later used by Azura to skip the fight with him. In addition, Death also doubled down his own power to finish off, doubted his own power to finish off Azura without Death's scythe in hand, in which case is most likely due to the latter's immortality. Also, when Azura suddenly fired a powerful blast from Bajira to Death Kid, Thompson's sister, and basically Death, it forced Death to protect them with his body, as they would have certainly been killed. It showed that if caught off guard and forced to take a sufficient enough powerful blast, he could be incapacitated and critically injured. Death is, by and large, considered, I think, the most powerful individual in the series. Like the image you get in this picture right here is a much friendlier version of what he looked like back in the day. Let's see if I can get an image of what he actually looked like. He looked a lot more badass back in the day, about 800 years ago. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, that's akin to more what he looked like back in the day. Definitely a bit more menacing. So I can understand why. In some levels, can definitely see why this character we pit up against Knull. Knull is a being that existed prior to creation of the universe. He existed basically from the black ichor of nothingness that came, and he existed for billions of years before the universe came into existence. And then the universe came into existence, and light was created, and he hates freaking light. So he went out of his way to snuff out light, including casually killing Celestials, who are beings who can just create universes on a whim. Go up against the All-Father or Herald-like beings like the Thor and completely kick his ass. Really, only power of like the Infinity Gauntlet was able to supersede him, as well as like the Living Tribunal, things along those lines. He is immortal. He is neither immortal nor mortal. He existed before the concept of life and death existed, so he can never truly die. He can be injured, but he has a regenerative factor, healing factor as well. He's capable of going easily toe-to-toe with individuals like Celestials. Thor posed a bit of a threat to him, but he was able to completely overtake Thor as well. Really, in his story, it came down to Venom getting like a super amped power-up before Knull was able to be brought down. Knull is wielder of All Black, the Necrosword, which is the first symbiote ever made, and again was used to slice off the heads of Celestials and just butcher godlike beings. It later came into possession of Gore, who also used it to kill godlike beings until he was beaten by Thor. Knull is a... I hope we might be leaning towards seeing Knull later down in the MCU. Because we're getting Gore in Love and Thunder. Gore wields the Necrosword, All Black. Now, apparently Hela's sword was called the Necrosword, but you don't have to call it the Necrosword. You can just call it All Black, the Void Sword, or something like that. Or All Black, the Darkness Sword, or All Black, the Ichor Sword, or something like that. Easy, you could just stick with All Black, honestly. Death's Weapon, All Black, something like that. I hope we might be, because Knull is just a badass Avengers level threat, cool character. And he means business when he comes around. Like, even Thanos probably would not want to go up against this guy if he could help it. So, my issue with this fight, honestly, is on a power level setting. Well, Death the Kid certainly showed the power. Death himself definitely showed the power of creationism, kind of showing the ability to create the new world. That doesn't make him it makes him a creator, but it doesn't make him, say, a universal level threat. That said, however, he is Death. So it's a kind of weird to know how his power really stacks up to more universal level threats, seeing as he himself is technically a universal level concept. It's a very odd way to go to kind of figure things out. He is one of the I believe it's called the Elder Ones, the Great Old Ones. So let me see what a Great Old One is go away ads. The Great Old One is a godlike being who exists in a particular madness way from their very existence. It's an allusion to the Great Old Ones of Lovecraftian lore. Seemingly deity-like, entities who are embodiments of a type of madness. The very existence of them is a tremendous can plunge people into madness. Also, madness seems to be mostly individual of a non-great one. So there are 5 known great old ones. One of them is actually deceased. Actually, Death himself is deceased in the story, but that is because he's Death. Duh. But there is the girl. Again, freaking ass. There is Azura, who's the Reaper, and I believe the embodiment of fear. Ibadan, who is as part of the. I really am getting sick of this. He presides over knowledge. There was the Excalibur, who presides over. Go away, you freaking ad. He's the most powerful weapon in the world. Okay, so apparently he was predating the demon weapon race, serving as inspiration that led to their creation. Apparently he is the inspiration for the great death weapons. And there was the great old one of power who was unknown what race he was. The other races were Reaper, Sorcerer, and Sword. So death represents an actual aspect. Now, this is where it gets really complicated. It's kind of like talking about concepts in Bleach versus Naruto and stuff like that. Because if you really look at Shinigami, especially the most powerful ones, their power really threatens existences. Like the concepts of existences, levels of power, all that, whereas Naruto doesn't. Similar concept here where I don't know if death itself represents death in the whole universe cosmology of Soul Eater, outside of even in the universe itself, or if it's just confined to the world that exists there, the planet of whatever it is, Earth or whatever. And this is unfortunately where my lack of knowledge on Soul Reaper really kind of hinders me on this opinion. So take whatever I say for at least a little bit of a grain of salt. I think because death doesn't actually affect Knull in really the same concept as it does, say, Immortal, because he's not mortal. And if he were immortal, it would matter anyway. Add on the fact that Knull already kills godlike beings casually, and death is limited to his scope. He is limited in the range he can do things. If Knull wanted to, he could destroy the planet without ever actually having gone to the planet. He could be like, oh, interesting. Dark energy, boom. All right, let's move on to the next one. Maybe I'll actually step foot on this one. He could do that, and this match wouldn't even be a match. My problem with this fight ultimately is that Knull, I think, is just a grade of power well beyond death. If death is here, Knull kind of stands a bit, not even one rank above. He stands a couple ranks above. It's not like he has a death touch either, where he can instantly kill something. As death, that'd be kind of convenient. But he doesn't. Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Knull. So, Knull would come down, and he'd do the whole attacking the world of symbiotes. Death, I think, would be able to keep the symbiotes at bay, and Knull will see this. So he goes to the city, confronts them, like, so you're Death. Knull does not have a voice yet, unless someone's done some sort of audio thing for him. So you're the one. I can only think of what Knull's voice might sound like. Probably a baritone rasp. So you're the one. Yeah, something like that. So you're the one keeping my children at bay. And I don't even know what Death sounds like, but that would be me. Unfortunately, Death doesn't allow anyone to enter his own city without permission. I was like, you're Death. You're nothing more than a little spot. Although, I must admit, it seems... I can see Knull actually saying, darkness incarnate, I don't wish to kill you. In fact, I thrive for you. I desire my world back. My universe back. It's unfortunately, light must exist for the darkness to grow. And Knull actually has to say, unfortunately, I can't agree with such ideologies. And it's well, that's a shame, because neither can I. And then they would clash. And unfortunately, Death, not only is Knull immortal and just having, well beyond just standard deity levels of power, Death doesn't actually have an ability that could really do much to death. The best he could maybe hope for is sealing. And even then, I don't know if he could seal someone as powerful as Knull. Knull was sealed away in the planet Clintar, which is actually translated in their language as prison, by thousands upon millions upon billions of symbiotes just keeping him locked there. I don't know if death really has anything to really do much against him. Now, conversely, because death is technically immortal, I don't know if Knull has anything to really kill him either. That being said, he's killed immortal beings before, beings who have just lived for billions upon billions of years, who have never aged. He's killed them before, so I guess it all factors in on how you actually depict the immortality of death. As a true Reaper, he's immortal and lived 800 years. It's possible the immortality is similar to Azura's, who inherited his immortality due to death, being the embodiment of his fears and fear itself as a result. And I think that's the key here. Knull would beat down death, but Knull couldn't kill death. Because death is because he is the embodiment of that concept. As long as that concept exists, and always exists, he exists. That, I think, is what embodiment immortality means. When you are the embodiment of something, you cannot die unless the concept of that embodiment is erased from existence. That's why people were the embodiment of, like, a deity was the embodiment of fear, death, life, love, rage, all that. Emotions, basically, can't die because those emotions always exist. The only way you could theoretically kill someone like death would actually be a Thanos type situation where you gather the Infinity Gauntlet and use the godlike power to make everyone immortal, erase death, make everyone stale, erase death. Now and just make the proper amount up. And there's another way Thanos could have worked that around. He didn't have to wipe everyone out and wipe away all the and increase the supplies to that degree. And without the concept of death to exist, death in theory could actually die. But then again, die in the sense that Thanos would mean, like, except for you. You're the only one who can die now. Well, then I will still, the fact that I can die means I can't die, because that still exists. Good point. I'll just erase you from existence. That's not death, that's erasure. That's different. Problem solved. So yeah, it's really hard to get through embodiment immortality, which is now a term I'm just coining. But it's a term I like. Embodiment immortality. Yeah, it's really hard to get around that, but it's not impossible. So yeah, Knull would just power-wise beat down death, but he wouldn't be able to kill him. And maybe he would just lock him away in like an Ichor prison of darkness or something like that and say, you won't be going anywhere, little Reaper. And then there you go. So that, yeah, for me, Knull takes this. Knull is just like a couple levels way higher than what death is. And being immortal means that he can't really be affected by like death itself anyway. So anyway, that's my thoughts on who wins. Let me know if you disagree. Obviously, I don't know a lot about Soul Eater. I know little. So I'll take what I say with it, like I said, a giant grain of salt. And if you do know more and you do think Knull would legit... By the way, I've been having this come up recently. And I don't respond to these comments in comments because I don't like to start those kind of conversations. Because honestly, me responding to them would just be like, "Oh, shut up!" It would sound more like, "Oh God," like me just being immature. If you're going to try to counter my argument, actually try to counter my argument, because lately I've been getting a lot of people, and there's always going to be people who do this. Say, like, "Yeah, I love your stuff, but you don't know. You need to do your research because this guy would totally beat this guy." It's like, dude, this guy doesn't do this and this and this. I had one guy who's A, clearly biased because of their name. But B said, Michael Myers can't die because he's immortal and doesn't have a heart. And I'm like, where the hell are you getting that information? Michael Myers still has a freaking heart. He's still human. But I've been getting a lot of people lately just giving me the whole, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, this character will win. Oh, yeah, I like your stuff, but you need to study more because this character will win. That isn't an argument I'm going to try not to belittle anyone who out there. But that isn't an argument, folks. That is just you stating your opinion. If you would like to try to offer facts to back up that opinion, then you may have something there. But as long as you're just stating your opinions, like, nope, this character win, that character will lose. Sorry. It doesn't mean anything to me. Look, you're entitled to your opinion, but unless you can try to back it up, it doesn't mean anything. And try backing it up with actual facts and not just fan-made facts. I know someone did that with the Creeper at one point, and like a lot of what they were saying is like there's no evidence to what you're saying. There's implications, but there's no evidence. So you got to be careful when you kind of try to counter what someone's saying. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.